Hey, in today's video, we were talking about gig economy insurance. So what I'm gonna be doing is two parts in this video. First, I'm gonna kind of breaking down different providers. So maybe you work for Lyft, Uber, Instacart, Postmates, DoorDash. There's so many services out there. They all vary a little bit if you are using the service as an employee or a contractor of their service. So what I've done is I've highlighted on these different services some little nuances you should be aware of, and you'll start to get an idea of how the services vary. And in the second half of this video, what I'm going to do is give you some alternative options on ways that you can kind of further cover your butt, so to speak. So I started with Lyft intentionally because I thought this was pretty interesting because it was a little nuanced. So what they do is if you have coverage, do you have coverage when driver mode is off? So your app is not on, your driver mode is off. Basically what happens in that situation is your personal insurance is your insurance policy. There's no commercial policy covered from Lyft. But then when you have your app on, but you have no rides accepted, what it is there's more of this maximum threshold of 50,000 maximum limit per person, 100,000 maximum limit per accident, and a 25,000 maximum limit for property damage. And then you can see as you scroll down, coverage when ride accepted through ride ends. So somebody's in the back seat and you're driving them, that's where you get $1 million of coverage per accident. So you can see that it's very different from app is not on, app is on, but there's nobody actually in the vehicle with you, and then you actually have somebody that you're driving them to a location and you get in an accident, you have up to $1 million of coverage. But it gets a little bit more nuanced as well. So how does contingent collision coverage work? So the way that is it's designed to cover physical damage to your vehicle resulting from an accident as long as you have obtained collision coverage on your personal automobile policy. So now if we go down to comprehensive coverage, right? So it says comprehensive coverage is designed to cover your physical damage to your vehicle resulting from non-collision events. So for example, a fire, vandalism, a natural disaster, etc., as long as you have obtained comprehensive coverage on your personal automobile policy. So whenever you're getting insurance, there's always like collision and comp as like options that you may or may not get on your insurance policy. If you do not have those activated, then you do not get the benefits of what Lyft provides on those, because they're going to look at your personal insurance and say, you know what, you actually don't have comp on your personal insurance, then we are not going to cover you as well. So if you are somebody who drives quite a bit because you are doing the gig economy and it requires you driving a lot, you may want to consider having collision and comp added to your insurance policy because you're going to get additional protection from somebody such as Lyft. So the next service I wanted to talk about was DoorDash because I thought theirs was a little tricky, and maybe there's something in the terms and conditions I haven't seen, but I have it highlighted here, and it says, does DoorDash have insurance? Yes, they do. They have a commercial auto insurance policy that covers up to $1 million in bodily injury, kind of similar to Lyft, and or property damage to third parties. But to qualify as an on-active delivery, you must be in possession of the goods to be delivered. I thought that was really interesting because with DoorDash, if you've ever driven for them or any of the food delivery services, you know that you're only actually in possession of the goods about half the time or less because you're driving to go get the goods and then you're taking the goods to the person who maybe, ordered out some takeout that night. So I thought that was really interesting distinction that you may not be covered if you do not have goods in possession. If you're driving to the restaurant, you may not be covered. Again, I'm not an attorney or anything, so I didn't look through all of their full legal paperwork, but from what I gather from that is you do not have coverage if you were getting in an accident on the way to the restaurant to pick up the order. Instacart, huge service in 2020. Tons of people ordering groceries online. This article from collinslaw.com, one of the things they said is that Instacart does not insure their drivers. So Instacart drivers, like most other grocery delivery drivers, are not covered by separate insurance policies to cover them while they're on the job. These insurance policies are common among Uber and Lyft drivers, but Instacart claims all of their drivers are independent contractors and requires them to provide their own state minimum auto insurance. So it's just something good to know that if you're on Instacart, you're not covered the same way you are if you're on DoorDash, Lyft, or Uber Eats. It looks like, at least according to this article from Collins Law Firm, that you are not covered at all. So taking a look at Uber, their service is actually pretty simple. They do have commercial insurance set up for you, and basically they break it down here. So you're offline, again, your personal insurance covers you, but if you're awaiting a ride request, then you again have those kind of minimum thresholds thresholds, or maximum thresholds, I should say, that apply. And then if you have somebody in the backseat again, you have over up to $1 million of third-party liability that they will help with. But if you go down here towards the bottom of the screen, they have some FAQs. And this one I thought was interesting. If I'm in an accident, will Uber's insurance cover a rental car for me? Well, it says no, it won't. So if you have insurance set up for yourself, your personal insurance, sometimes there's an option for rental car coverage that you can add to your policy. In this particular case, Uber does not cover that for you. And if you are somebody who is doing this quite a bit, you're putting a lot of miles on your car, you're increasing the likelihood that you may be in an accident at some point. So there are these third-party services that you can use. And what I want to introduce you to is a company that's new to me, but they actually reached out to me because I have a lot of videos on DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, and these different services. And they wanted to do a sponsored video, which is what this is at this point, and talk about CoverAI. And like I said, they're new to me, but it seems like an interesting service. So basically what they do is they give you big company benefits for gig workers. Now, if you're at a big company, you're a normal W-2 employee working in the office, if you get sick, there may be workman's comp. If you get injured on the job, or you have paid time off, and you have different benefits that aren't available to the gig economy. So what they do is they provide these services to people who are working in the gig economy. And it doesn't even matter if you're kind of piecemealing it, right? You're working at Postmates, Uber Eats, Lyft, and then you're doing Instacart. This service helps to provide you with extra coverage that you may not have from those services. So here's an example: income guarantee. Basically, Cover replaces 80% of your lost income when you can't work due to hospitalization, temporary account deactivation, or post-collision repairs. Another one, sick leave. This one I'm not as big of a fan of, but basically if you do get sick, you can borrow from your future self up to $300, kind of almost like a payday loan. I'm not a big fan of that because if you're already in a tough situation, you're kind of digging a further hole. That's just my opinion. But they have some really cool services like telehealth, where they have a service that you can call 24/7 if you have questions on your health. And it's cool that it applies to both you, yourself, and your immediate family members. So it's cool to have a 24/7 health line that you can call into. Taxes, they've partnered with a service called Hurdler Premium. Now, if you are not currently really tracking your miles as good as you should be set up with this. If you go through Hurdler, that's going to cost you about $8 a month, but it's free on Cover once you set up with a monthly plan with them as well. And then legal, what they have here, complimentary legal consultation with top gig economy lawyers at Legal Rideshare. So if you get deactivated from a platform or something like that, you'll actually be able to talk to a gig economy specific lawyer who's going to be able to help you by sending a deactivation letter on your behalf and try to get you back on track with whatever service you're using. And then also bookkeeping. This is coming up soon in the future, but you'll be able to view all your gig earnings in one place with AI-driven analysis to help you earn more by comparing data with other drivers in your city. So, what does it cost? Let's see. So they sent me this little deck here that kind of goes into some of this. As far as the price, right? So there's 3 different tiers that they offer. The first tier, it's $7 a month. It covers 80% of the lost income, up to $100 per payout, and can access all the perks. So we went over the perks. And also, as far as these per payouts, they do not cap the number of payouts that you have per year. So if you, for some reason, you have 4 or 5 payouts that you'd have that year, you could have $400 to $500 that you get in that tier. And of course, if you spend more money, you have more coverage. That's where you can cover the income up to $1,900 per month for up to 7 days of lost income per payout. So again, your car is broken down, you can't work. They will pay you up to $1,900 per month, depending probably on how much you're actually driving. So if you go over to cover.ai, that's where you can get a quote. You can just enter your email and they can work with you on setting up a quote based on your needs. Really, I kind of think of this as a decision of like, do you want to get life insurance, right? I didn't have life insurance for a long time. It was just me. If I died, it wasn't really going to affect anybody else. My parents could probably afford to bury me. But then as I got married and had kids, then I'm like, I need term insurance because I want to make sure my family is taken care of if something were to happen to me. In your situation, you may want to look at it like, if it's just a little bit of a side hustle and you drive here or there once in a while and you're not really using it a lot. But if it's something that you're relying on your full-time income through gig economy services, it might make a lot of sense for you to check out a service like CoverAI to give yourself that extra protection that isn't afforded to you through the partner that you're driving with. Because as you can see, it varies from service to service. And even still, if you didn't have the app on, or maybe you didn't have food in the back seat yet, something like CoverAI is a helpful tool if it is your sole source of income, because you don't want to be high and dry if you're in the hospital, you have an accident, or maybe you're not even just, taking advantage of some of these other services that they partner with, such as tracking your mileage properly or 24/7 telehealth. A lot of cool stuff that they have over there, and check them out. And I'll have a link in the description below. And like I said, this was a sponsored post. They reached out to me, but I think it's cool that they're offering these services for people that want a little extra protection on their side, that are using the gig economy as their full source of income. All right, guys, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.